Hi, my name is Bob Rosenberg. I leased a 2017 Chevrolet Volt through GM Financial. I love the car. The company is awful. They do not respond when you send them emails. If you call them, you need to be on the phone for an hour before somebody picks up, and they will yes you to death and then do nothing. Their customer service is a joke. They have had 3 opportunities while I had the lease. First time was on roadside assistance. They were supposed to reimburse me. It took 4 months. At the end of the lease, they blindsided me. They overcharged me a ridiculous amount, but they never respond to the phone calls or anything. They just say, you owe us the money, credit, and they will never address the reason why there was a non-payment. And on property taxes, at the end of the lease, I was responsible for a portion of the year. They try to bill me for the whole year, and they do not respond. You call them again, you're on the phone for an hour, and they say yes, 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 and then they drop it. Customer service does not exist at GM Financial. Okay, well, there are 3 parts of this. The first one happened in June of 2019. I leased the car at the end of May of 2017. Within 2 years later, within a week, the car would not run at all, and I had to have it towed to the dealership, where my AAA pays for the first 5 miles. And then they were supposed to reimburse me. It took 4 months, dozens of phone calls, and I also had the service manager from the dealership calling them, and it was a nightmare. It's almost like they were trying to piss me off, and they succeeded. 4 months later, I finally got the money, but the lease ended in May of 2020. And there are 2 things that happened. I returned the car. A month later, they sent me something for a bill for $1,700 and change. And it was ridiculous, the minor stuff. And it was absolutely stupid on their part. They wanted to charge me extra because the tires were not speed rated accordingly. I had 4 new tires at 4,000 miles on there, and I had a 4,000 mile lease, and I think it was 40,100. And finally, they ended up, I called them on it, and we went through a bunch of things, and they never got back to me, and then they ended up giving me a credit for that. Then the difference was, I want to say about $1,000. Of the $1,000, 225, and they never got back to me. Their communication is non-existent. It's like they do not monitor their emails. They do not return phone calls. The only time they call you is they say, well, you owe us money. Now, of that $1,000, $225 in tax for that was on a thumbnail size smudge on the headliner. Now, I talked to some friends who do, recon, when somebody brings in a car that is traded in and they fix it up. They do that, and they said, you know what? That's nuts. They use like a little bit of like Shout or another detergent. They spray it, they leave it, and then they rub it off. It's a 50-cent fix. So I sent them $10 towards that, and they kept going back, and they did not respond to anything. Whenever they called me, I said, look, you are nuts. This is ridiculous. And I worked with the Consumer Protection and the State Attorney General's office, and these are really they're repugnant business practices. I sent them $10. That should have done it. But the only response I got was that I still owe them the money, and they put me into, they put it on my credit report that I did the money for that, and they never addressed the cause of the charge. They just said, well, you didn't pay the charge, but they never justified the charge. I call them, and I understand that it will be an hour on hold. I have better things to do with my time than to wait for these people for an hour satisfaction. They are very, very professional on the phone, but then back weeks later, nothing has been done. But you call back weeks later and nothing is done. Absolutely nothing. You call back and it's, they say, oh yeah, we got this thing over here. Nothing has been done. And I ended up talking to my attorney. You know what? It's going to cost you thousands to sue them on this. But they put a spot on my credit report, and my credit report is spotless. That I did not pay, but they never addressed the reason why I did not pay. And I've been very clear since day one. That is not a $225 item. And they said, oh yes, that's what they charge us, which is garbage, because that they have a shop that they deal with and they pay somebody $15 an hour and he does dozens of these things a day. That's ridiculous. But I ended up paying it. And then I got something on the property taxes, which I understand I'm supposed to pay for the property taxes. My lease ended at the end of May 2019. Well, they paid property taxes on there, and they're actually the people who own the vehicles. The procedure, and I understand it, is that they pay the property and I reimburse them. But the lease expired in May, and they attempted to charge me for the entire year for the property taxes. The property taxes, the procedure is that the municipality, the town of Madison, sends them a bill for the property tax. Then they send me a bill. But the property tax is for the entire year. My lease ended in May, but they wanted me to pay for the entire year. And I have called them. I have spent hours on the phone with them. They say, yes, sir, we have everything we need. It fell between the cracks, and they just do not respond. You call them back 4, 5, 6 weeks later, and we'll get to it. And this is ridiculous. Let me just tell you, I only buy American cars. I've owned 11 GM vehicles in my lifetime. And I love the car, but I will never buy an General Motors vehicle again. So my liability for the taxes ended on May 25th, May 26th actually, for the vehicle. They are responsible for the taxes, but they want to pay for it for the whole year. And this has been going on for 2 months now. And they send me a bill, and I call them, and I wait on hold, and like I said, it's an hour you get anybody to pick it up. And they are not responsive. Again, it's like the problem I had with the extra charges on for the smudge. They just do not respond. There's nobody there answering the things. They say, we see it, we have it here. And what I did is I sent them a copy. They said, you owe us property taxes. I said, send me the bill. And they sent me the bill. It was kind of a group thing where everybody who leases a GM who lives in my town is on the same thing, but it lists my car there and the amount of property tax for the car. But they're trying to charge me for the whole year. And I am tired of this. These are very poor business practices. There is no customer service. There is no accountability. And my lawyer said these are the largest financial organizations in the world. You really can't fight them. But, I just want to get the word out there that these people are awful. They can answer their phones. They can get me a number which they should have gotten me months ago. They should never try to bill me for the whole year. The property taxes were for 2020, and I owned it through the end of May. I should be billed for 5 months, not 12 months. They should respond when you call them, when you email them. It's just very, very frustrating.